Hello and welcome to another episode of Gigsy Creator Central. I'm Arvind Sundar, and on over there is Vikram. We we are the I don't know if you're the face or the fall guys for Gigsy, but whatever it is, we're the guys out there who are doing all the crazy stuff that you should be doing, and we share everything that we do so that one, you don't make the same mistakes that we did, and two, you actually get off to a running start. With that being said, let's start off with today's topic, which is all about how to launch your online course with Gigsy. At any given point of time, if you're watching this live, I'm going to ask you to type out your questions in chat because that is open and I will be able to answer those questions as and when they happen. And if you're watching this at any future time, you can always reach out to us through the community WhatsApp group as well. All right, today's session is going to be split into 4 parts, okay? I think most of you would be quite interested in the last part, which is the process, but I'm going to be walking you through the entire process step by step. Okay. Whenever you go about building any online course, whether it be on Gigsy, whether it be on your email, whether it is something that you're going to be teaching via Zoom, it doesn't matter, right? There is one important rule that you want to think about, right? Anything that can be learned can be taught. For example, these are actual courses that I have seen on Udemy, I have seen on other people's blogs, and the last one's actually something that I've created myself, right? Renovating a kitchen. Obviously in the world of DIY and stuff like that, it's a big deal. Starting a blog, I've taken those kind of courses, I've built those kind of courses. Roasting coffee beans, if you think that's very niche, you should go online on Udemy and check out the kind of stuff. Building a content marketing strategy, yeah, it's pretty much par for the course. But I think one of those courses that I had got for for my employees in an earlier company set me back by almost 15,000 rupees. One course, and I'm talking like 2016, right? Sleep training a baby, which is, I don't know how many of you are parents, but if you have like a newborn and you actually want to maintain your sanity, as well as making sure that other people can sleep, that's a course there. Switching careers, right? You're in one field, you want to move to another. How do you do that? But again, all of these that you see over here, all of these things are different topics on which video courses, online courses are available. And you have to remember this one very important thing. Anything that can be learned can be taught. Now, when you build off this, right, you'll probably be thinking, okay, so if that is a thing, why don't you guys go ahead and type out in the chat, right? What are the possible things that you could be creating a course about? Go ahead, type it out on chat.
Is the chat disabled?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I am one of the biggest dum-dums. Yes, I just called myself a dum-dum.
We have those moments. All good. Thank you.
All right, cool. Go ahead, type it out in chat. What do you think you could make your course on? Meanwhile, I'm going to expand on this and give you kind of reasons why you should be building a course if you haven't considered it yet. This is one of like the most surefire and the most effective way for you to actually start taking whatever knowledge you have, whatever passion you have, and to essentially take that passion and that knowledge and start making money with it. That's number one. Number two is, especially for creators, right? What's going to happen is you're already creating stuff, right? And you already have an audience. And now what you have is a very strong opportunity for you to essentially take all of this information that you know, right? And start turning your passion into something that's going to be putting money into your account. For freelancers, some of you are those, and we know that it's like the more and more content you create, right? And the more, if you start investing that effort into creating a course, especially for freelancers, right? So you're not going to be beholden to your clients, right? So now you are making that transition from being a freelancer to a business owner. You're trying to make money with more and more control on your time and your effort. And finally, for entrepreneurs, and this is how I started off myself, right? I was in a job and then I switched to like consulting. And while I was doing consulting, I actually launched my own set of online courses that started making me money. Of course, recurring revenue. It's really it's a wonderful feeling when once you create that course and you have somebody else who's selling it for you and the money just keeps on coming into your account. I mean, it's like, why didn't I think of this before? convenient for yourself and for others as well, right? For looking at it from your audience's perspective, if so, as long as someone's got a phone, right, they can learn whatever it is that you're teaching, right? And you have bite-sized content, and it becomes like very, very practical as well. And finally, the kind of uh, width and breadth that we have, right, in terms of creating topics and stuff like that, that's unparalleled. Vikram, do you want to add a few points to this?
I don't know if you've already spoken about it, but just in terms of seeing if one size can fit all, right? A bunch of audiences that you can actually cater to without having to be customized or customizing to certain people, and having like a common base across multiple audiences, and teaching a common set of principles to a bunch of different audiences, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
would have pretty similar takeaways. I think that's there in the freelancers online course thing, where you can help step off the client treadmill and control your own time. So I think I'm more or less referring to that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for sharing. I'm just looking at the chat, and I see Garima and Sukun have shared. Sukun's talking about living authentically, and Garima is talking about teaching what we know and making money from it. Sukun, I'm curious, what does living authentically actually mean, and how do you think this is going to become a course?
I know it was quite a broad, big picture thing I just wrote there, but chunking it down, it really refers to helping young people, more precisely Gen Z, to live authentically by helping them navigate through FOMO, social media pressure, social comparisons, anxiety, the whole peer pressure, the whole lot. And all of this combined, the outcome becomes live authentically. Now,
Okay.
how I convey this, how I market this, of course, is a whole different ballgame, which I guess that's why I'm here in a way. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you for hosting this webinar. Yeah.
The stuff that you're saying, I feel that sense of dread and panic every time I open LinkedIn, because I'm like, oh my God, he became a CEO. Oh my God, these guys got funded. And
Yeah,
that
man, we
sense
all
of
have it.
panic that sets in, my goodness, I
Yeah.
would buy that course. So yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and you have me on video. All right, so this is what, like, the important questions that you need to ask yourself before you actually get into the whole process of launching your course, right? You need to figure out what is that topic. So now, like taking Sukun's example of living authentically, that's the final outcome that's going to be coming out, right? So amongst that, like, is it like, how do you deal with social media pressure, or how do you deal with anxiety, or how to deal with FOMO? Any of these things, right? Those things can definitely are things that you should be considering, because it's an ocean out there, right? Like, even the topics that I had shared up here, all of these things, these are, again, like big oceans unto themselves, right? So you could definitely, as using Sukun's words, you could definitely chunk them down, right? You can unpack these things and choose like a smaller section of each of those. After that, you want to decide on the tools that you're going to be using. Right now on screen, you are looking at a mind map. It's a software called MindNode, but there are a whole host of other ways that you could create your course. You could be making video courses, audio, pictures, just plain text courses. Any of these things are possible. Then, of course, you'd have to go through the process of creating your own content. And finally, you got to figure out pricing and distribution. With that, let's dive in with the entire process. Okay. Broadly speaking, there are 7 steps, right? First is a lot more about mindset. And, it's about before you actually get started on this, I'm not going to say emotionally and mentally draining journey, but it is a journey that you're going to be investing a lot of time and effort into. So before you go into that, what are the things that you need to commit to? Then we're going to talk about what are the different ways that you could actually decide on the topic that you wish to build. You can then talk about how are you going to plan out your entire content creation bit. Then what is the format that you want to go with? Finally, we're going to go into what are the things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to creating your course. Finally, publishing, as well as launching and marketing. All right. Everybody with me so far? If so, just type out a yes in the chat box.
Yes. I like it when people say yes.
All right, let us commence. Commitment. This is one of the most critical steps out there, simply because if you're making something that nobody wants, you're not going to be able to sell it. And if you're not going to be able to sell it, you're wasting your time and effort to creating something that nobody wants. Worse, you'll get demoralized and demotivated. So you want to kind of answer these questions. Does your audience actually care about it, right? That's an important thing. If your audience doesn't care, then what's the point of building it? Now, how do you actually find out if your audience cares? Well, as a part of the Passion to Profit Bootcamp, right? The 30-step process that we have, I think it was the 8th webinar that we did as a part of Gigsy Creator Central, right? There are different ways that you can do that. So obviously one is about research. If there's already an existing product solving the same problem that you're looking to solve, there's a good chance that there is a market for a product, like that. That's one. Second thing is as simple as just going forth and asking your audience, hey, do you guys want this? Well, that's a bit of an iffy thing, simply because even if people do CS, it does not necessarily mean that they'll be willing to pay money. So I've got a rule of thumb, like for every customer that you think that you want to get, like somebody who's going to pay you money, you need like about like 20 people who are going to be saying yes, 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 I'll buy it. And for every, so you can do the math, right? So you can think of it like roughly like about a 5% conversion of everybody who says yes will actually end up buying your own course. That's the first question. Second, will it make money for you? If you think that the amount of effort and the amount of development that you're going to be putting into building your course is going to, and then you want to arrive at, calculating and doing all the math, you're going to say that, hey, I'm going to be arriving at a price point of 15,000 rupees. Okay. Now let's say that at that price point, right, you won't probably have a lot of competition, but if everything else in the market is just selling for, let's say, 99 bucks. Classic example is IAS preparation or 10th standard preparation, right? So you have sites like Vedantu, you have sites like Byju's, and you have other sites, right? What is the other one? Well, okay, you have like a ton of these guys who are selling the same content for like 99 rupees, right? Lifetime access. And then you're coming in and saying like, hey, you know what? This is 3,000 bucks. Even though your content is better, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to go ahead and sell this, right? It's going to be a bit of a challenge. So you got to be making sure that this is actually going to make money for you. Next up is to look at what sort of goals are you looking at, right? Now, there are different kinds of courses that you can create. I have created courses purely for the purpose of marketing, right? In the sense, since I'm doing consulting, for me to get my foot in the door, I have created custom courses and I've launched them just to say that, hey, I'm the guy who built the course on strategic influence, let's say, right? And I use that as a starting point, as a talking point when it comes to my sales pitches, because that's where I make my real big money. But let's say if I just want like some sort of recurring income coming in, like for example, my 30 epic career upgrades, right? It's a course, it's a 40 video course that just talks about 30 things that you can do to, make yourself more valuable at work, right? So that's the thing that I built at. You also have to look at goals from your audience's perspective. Is it something that they want, right? Let's say that you want to make a course on saying learning Python coding for CEOs. Okay. I'm just saying hypothetically. And what is the probability of a CEO, right, actually wanting to learn Python? So you'll have to make sure that the content that you are creating is in line with what your audience will want. Again, it goes back to the first bit, which is, does your audience care? And finally, do you have time to make it? There are some things that are going to be, look, you have all the knowledge, you have all the passion, and you really want to do it. But let's say your day job gets in the way. Or let's say that, you can't take time off from your business. Or maybe, you don't have the right, set of skills, or you don't have the right level of confidence to create something like this. But then at the heart of it, it's just going to be like any problem, given enough time, you're going to be in a position to solve it, right? But do you actually have the time to create? If not, don't start it now. Come back to it later. And if it's a matter of skill, you can always do outsourcing. I have done that. What I did was, personally, I don't enjoy writing as much as I do talking. So sometimes I'll just turn on this microphone, just do like speech to text, or I'll just record audio files and then, all my ideas, get it transcribed by AI or by some other human. And in fact, like one of the value adds that I'm giving as a part of my course is an ebook written by another human being. So that's also stuff that you can do. Once you've done this, once you've seen that, hey, you have answers to these questions and they are conducive for you to go ahead and make your course, move on to step 2, which is to figure out your topic. Now you might be thinking like, hey, don't I already know what my topic is? Again, lifting Sukun's example, It's about living authentically, right? But which part of it should you go for? This is how you can get some more clarity. You basically have to ask questions. You can run surveys, and you want to kind of look at the journey that your audience is going to be going for, wherever they are right now, to where they want to go. You're going to figure out how is it that you can take them from point A to point B. There can be many routes. There can be route X, there can be route 1, route 2, route 3, whatever. It's your job to figure out where they are and where they want to go and how you can take them there. Vikram, would you like to add a few words?
Not at this point. Let's continue.
That was a rhetorical question, but fair enough. Again, the guiding beacon for you at this point of time should be, what is the outcome that's going to be there for your audience, right? So thinking about it, what can be the outcome? What is that delta? What's that quick win that you're going to be giving your audience? Because if you have, like, let's say 15 different outcomes, and I know this because I've made courses like 30 epic career upgrades, right? It's overwhelming, right? A lot of content does not mean a lot of value, even though you're putting your heart and soul into it. One of the better things that's actually sold is how to prepare for your first interview, right? I think it was a 400, 500 rupee course or something. It's just like a bunch of like some 7 or 10 videos, right? That's it. But that's actually like far more niche, far more focused, far more effective, because it's guaranteeing one specific outcome as opposed to a whole host of different things. So that's what you got to be focusing your attention at. Chat time. So go ahead, tell me, what would be one topic that you think you could create your course on? Go ahead and type it out on the chat, right? I do understand that you will have to do these actions still, but right now, based on how well you know your audience, what are some things that you could create a course on? What would be some, what could be some specific outcome that you can give for them? So living authentically could be there, but if you had to make it more specific, how would you do that? Garima, for you as well, how would you do that? You know a lot of stuff. So what is it that you specifically want to teach? And what would be that specific outcome that you want your audience to have? Go ahead, type it out on chat. Oh, I see Mr. Ranga has also joined. Welcome, Mr. Ranga. Okay. Navigating through FOMO social comparisons. Navia's got a very interesting point. For me, most of the things are available on YouTube, so it's kind of hard to do anything for money. Navia, that is a very, very valid and legitimate concern that almost every single creator has, okay? And there are multiple ways that you can address this. And I have faced this in the past, but before I talk, I know Vikram had actually created a video, something along these lines. Vikram, why don't you share your thoughts on this?
One of the first things that actually stops us as content creators is, the fear of someone else doing something similar, or generally that, oh, you know what, this material is already out there and everybody gets it for free. But one of the things that we typically miss out on is the fact that we bring something unique to the table. We bring our own personalized experiences to the table. And if we start somewhere and there's this huge inertia to even get started, right? Even shooting a simple video, just to get your confidence going and telling yourself that you can actually do it. So even if you can actually record a simple video to talk about a couple of topics that you're really comfortable with, that could be a good starting point for you to actually start saying, hey, you know what, I actually have something here that can sell, right? Now, it's very easy to point out at YouTube or whatever gazillion videos exist out there and basically say, you know what, all of these are there and it's for free and people will not look at what I do. But if you do not start, you do not even have the capability to at least ascertain for sure that you really can or can't do it, right? So it's important to make sure that you get going. If you don't get going, it becomes really difficult.
Thank you. Navia's got a second follow-up point, which is why would people pay when they can get something for free? Well, Navia, I would, again, I've been there. I've been a part of this process. And here's the thing. You want to give stuff that people cannot get for free, right? So in some ways, it could be, say, stuff like access to you. It could be stuff like unique content that only you can give up. Now, beyond that, exactly like Sukun saying, right? You want to build that experience that people can go ahead and get from you. Again, there is this other thing that you get what you pay for, right? If you're only giving away free stuff, right? Okay, that's there. But then imagine if you're giving away paid stuff. Like, for example, Coursera exists, right? But still people want to go for college. It could be because of the certification. And that example just misfired horribly. But the point is, you could learn the same stuff for free, or you could pay money and learn. And I have done the same thing. For example, there was a $600 course that I have done from AWAI. It's about advertising and copywriting, right? It's a $600 course. That's a very, very expensive course. But what happens there is the stuff that I have actually learned there is not necessarily, it's like the same thing, but then it facilitates looking at things from a different angle that makes you like a whole lot more valuable, right? It teaches you how to write bullet points and sales letters and stuff like that. I can learn all of that for free, but think of it like freemium. It's not just free. You want to say free, but then there's like a whole lot more that you're going to build on top of that, because you're going to be selling not just a product, but for the entire experience. And it's possible, that many of the people that you interact with, they will say like, oh, but this is already for free. They're not your audience. Yes, Mr. Ranga, would you like to share something? You've raised your hand. So
I wanted to add a point here.
Yes, please.
It's going to be a little detailed. I'll take about 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
See, in the corporate training industry that I come from, the same topic is available for 1,000 rupees a day to 5 lakh rupees a day.
Wow.
Okay. It's the same topic. For example, take a simple topic like presentation skills, on which a huge amount of material is available free of cost on YouTube. Okay. There are clients who buy that course for paying 5 lakh per day.
What?
Absolutely.
Okay, sir, I just want to share something. I
yeah.
sell that same course for about 60,000 rupees a day.
Yeah. Okay.
And there you have it.
Now, it's like this. The reason I'm confidently talking about this is because right from beginning, I have been on the high value, high end market. There are clients who think that free or cheap courses are cheap, and they don't come near that. There is a huge market which only touches things only because it is paid and not free. Okay. For example, I was doing an alternative, I was also part of an alternative education school, and there's a parent who came, and we had published, the owner of the school had published the fees as 1 lakh rupee. So he meant it 1 lakh for the whole year. The parents who came thought that 1 lakh was for the month.
Wow.
So the parents said, I think 12 lakhs is a little steep. Rather, 1 lakh was a little steep. We said, no, it's really value for money. And then I asked him, 1 lakh, what are you assuming? He said, I presume 1 lakh is per month. We said, no, 1 lakh is for the whole year. You won't believe this, Arvind. They just stood up and just walked out.
Yeah.
They said, if you're charging 1 lakh per month, what value will you give my child? Because what salary will you pay your teachers? Right. So there is a huge market out there, which is value market. Okay. So I don't think any of us should have this question, will people pay for it? I think there is a huge market which will pay for it. And if you are tapping onto the market which will not pay for it, then I think there's something wrong with us.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the early questions. Will it make money for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going to throw a couple of numbers out there. The per capita income in India over the past 4 to 5 years has actually increased 1.5 times annually. So if you're looking at per capita income being around 9,000 USD around 4 to 5 years back, it's around 12,000 USD per annum now. So in general, there are two things that are actually contributing to people having the ability to pay. One is the fact that there is access now. Lots of people are on the internet. India is probably the fastest growing nation when it comes to internet penetration. And the second thing being, people have that money to actually pay and do something different, right? So two different reasons for you to even actually take that into consideration. Yeah.
But
One
yes.
more input. One more input is when you are defining a value. My suggestion is don't get it driven completely by the market. If you are convinced this is your value, I think you should just go and pitch it, and
Absolutely.
there will always be people to pick it at that price.
Absolutely.
Mr.
Okay.
Ranga, you should run a course on this. I would buy it too. My God, I'm always look at this, guys. That's what I'm saying. One person itself, just in one webinar, I'm already learning so many things that I want to learn as well. So, yeah, I would much appreciate if you could teach us how to become those high value.
Okay. Another point, I'm rewinding a bit in terms of what should be my topic. I just had a point to add there. I think there's a very simple way to understand how to decide the topic. One is one circle. Imagine them as three intersecting circles. One circle is what I am knowledgeable about. Two is what is it that the customer wants in terms of the problem that it solves for that person, and what's the magnitude of that problem, right? The third thing is about the economic driver, which is the money part. Now, in the course, you have to select in the intersection of the three circles.
Yeah.
For example, I may be knowledgeable about 100 things. People may not want to know about it, or rather know about it from me. Or they may not be willing to pay money for it. Or there may be 100 things that people are willing to pay money for it. I may not be good at it. So I think if you can look at a beautiful intersection of all the three, I think you will be able to call out the topics that are essential.
Right, absolutely. This also reminds me of this Japanese concept of ikigai.
Ikigai,
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend just go check out Ikigai. It's a Google search away. It's a wonderful book as well. You can definitely go ahead with it. But thank you for sharing, Mr. Ranga. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, once you've figured out what is the topic that you want to build out, you want to go ahead and do some planning. And these are some of the things that I have found based on a lot of trial and error that actually work well, right? First thing, each lesson that you're going to be creating could be a video, it could be an image, it could be an audio file, whatever it is. One lesson is equal to one result, right? It's as simple as that. Next up, you want to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Now, the longer it is, right? So, and I know this because as a creator, we want to say that, hey, we want to tack on as much value as possible, like if I'm giving like so much of value to them, they're going to be saying, oh, wow, this is really good. But on the other hand, what happens is people tend to get overwhelmed. Sukun's asking a result in the sense like, if, like I said, it's your job to take the person who's doing your course from point A to point B, right? But you're not going to be going there in one step. So you want to make it as atomic as possible. So if you're going to go from A to A1, then from A1 to A2, A2 to A3, ... until you reach B. Now, A to A1, that one atomic concept can be one lesson. It could be one video, one audio file, one slide, perhaps, one image, whatever it is. It's got to be one lesson. It's going to give them one result. Now, this result could be a new way of looking at things, could be a piece of knowledge, could be a new skill that you're building or you're teaching, right? You have to make it as atomic as possible. Remember, quick wins, that's going to be very, very critical. If you're going to be getting people to work a lot, like, hey, you know what, you do this, and let's say in 6 months or 9 months, you will, have this result. Well, the point is this, think of it like weight loss. And I know this because I'm supposed to be a pretty intelligent guy. I'm supposed to know that, well, if you want to lose weight, what you want to do is eat less, exercise more, and you will lose weight, right? But, and that's something that's going to work as well, right? But for me, what happens is, like, oh my God, I have to wait for like so long before the results kick in. Now that's why suddenly things such as liposuction, where I don't have to put in effort, I can see results really, really quickly, sound very, very attractive. It's a dumb thing, but that's how the human brain works until, until they learn better. So the quicker we can deliver a win, the quicker can we release, let's say, stuff like dopamine, oxytocin, endorphin, serotonin, right? All of these things. And as a result, they're like, oh yes, this is working, so I want more. Stuff like that would happen, right? So we want to do that. And again, you can always reuse content. Now imagine this thing that we're giving away, right? Like the Gigsy Creator Central webinars. I think this is what, number 15 or number 16. The content that we have here, right? These are all going to be going into a part of a large video course, right? We're not going to be selling it, but if we were to sell, we could happily charge like a ton of money just for the kind of knowledge that we have in all of these things, right? So even you, when you are conducting your webinars, when you are conducting your live streams, when you are conducting your interviews, when you are conducting your, when you're delivering your presentations and your workshops, you can absolutely record that. Like actually, if you have conducted in-person workshops in the past, if you have like high quality recordings of that, you have like most of your content creation almost done. So that's there. This is also important, right? You don't have to go and start from scratch. I know this because it can get quite time consuming. So when you're doing this, right, so you know that, hey, these are the rules along which you want to go ahead and plan your content. Now the question comes, how do you actually plan it out? Well, some of the tools that you can use for that, one is MindNote, the software that I am using. It is a paid software, but there is free versions of it available. You can use that. You can use Google Sheets or Excel, whatever works. Right? I'm a big fan of plain text files. So you can also use that and just like make bulleted lists until you have this stuff ready. I still remember there was this one course when I was working at a analytics training company in India. There was this one course that we just planned out over lunchtime on like 2 massive whiteboards, right? And then like within like about, I think it was 15 days or something, and then we launched that course. So anything, as long as you can stick to these kind of rules, you're going to be okay. Once you've decided that, hey, these are the different, you have like maybe the names of the lessons and what is the key thing that you want to cover in each, then you want to go ahead and choose your format. Of course, there are a number of different things that you could go ahead and create, right? So videos, slides, you can just write out stuff, audio, blah, 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 blah. All of these things are possible. But before you choose that, right, you need to look at these 3 things, right? One is, what are you actually comfortable with? Me, I like I said earlier, right? I don't enjoy writing, but I can just keep on talking and talking. So maybe video or audio could be a good fit for me. It is. You could also see the nature of the content that you wish to teach, right? So let's say if you're teaching watercolor painting, okay, and you want to teach like a very, very specific technique in that, right? Like how do you draw sakura flowers using watercolors? It's a very specific thing. There are videos on YouTube for that, but you would have your work cut out for you. I dare say it would be rather impossible if you had to describe that using just pure audio or just pure text, right? Because art like that is a visual medium. Now, when you realize that your content, right, and the way your students learn that, and the way you have to package your content is also going to have a say in the medium that you do choose. Now, of course, I have found that video can pretty much solve every need that's there, but there are some of us who are not necessarily comfortable with video. Then you have other options, as you can see on screen right now. I'm curious, go ahead and type out in the chat, what is your favorite channel to create content on? I'm curious to see what you guys choose. Oh, one quick tip here. We did do this one session earlier when we were talking about video equipment and all that. Since then, I've discovered another microphone that I have fallen in love with. And, I want to go and buy it. It's the, let me just pull that out from Amazon very quickly. Or Vikram, if you could please help me. It's the Maono A64. I think that's the name. It's a podcasting / it's like a very good high quality mic, which retails for about 6,000 rupees or something. The quality that you get on that is absolutely brilliant, but you will need a quiet room. Otherwise, it'll even pick up stuff like the fan. So Thinkific is a platform, right, that you could use to host your video courses. We are hoping that now that you're here, you're going to be using Gigsy, but more specifically, I was talking about what are these formats? Which of these formats actually work for you? Sukun, do you wish the knife or should I just leave it back in the back? Just kidding. Don't worry.
Before I came across you guys, I hadn't heard of you guys.
Awesome.
So I know of Thinkific. That's what I was saying. Internationally, yeah.
Yes. Thinkific is good. You have Teachable as well. You have a whole host of other things. There's like Zippy courses. You can have
Kajabi, yeah.
Kajabi as well. Kajabi is like a very, very robust, very powerful system. It's like a all in all, like end-to-end sort of a thing, but a bit of an overkill for first-time course creators as well. Great. Okay. Once you have chosen the format that you wish to go in, go ahead and create your course. So this literally is the slog, right? Like you'll have to do this day in and day out or whatever. You set your time in your calendar and you're just going to be just plugging away. And this is the part where you're going to be like wondering, oh my God, what am I actually doing? So in 2019,
sorry,
yes,
Arvind,
yes, Mr. Ranga.
sorry to interrupt. One quick input, because I've created a course already
Mhm.
in Gigsy, and I'm in the process of creating many courses, and I'm kind of scratching, redoing, etc.
Okay.
My experience is, I think people love videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't think anyone would like to invest more than, this is purely based on experience, more than 13 to 14 minutes for a video. I think a safe thing will be 7-8 minute videos, not more than that.
Okay.
So if you have some content to be presented which is running for about 24 minutes or something like that, break it into 3 videos of about 8 minutes. That makes people keep coming back and watching it.
All right.
This is
Fair
purely
enough.
my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And though there are videos, in fact, why I'm saying that 18 minutes, 14 minutes is because including TED, based on a lot of research, have restricted the time to less than 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. 18 minutes,
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
That's great. So, I mean, again, thank you for sharing, Mr. Ranga. Again, it ties back to the same thing, short and sweet. One thing, one module, one surgical strike, if you will. And that's how you can go about doing it. Thank you for sharing. Great. Just remember, when you're going to go ahead and create your courses, you don't have to slog it out, right? So you could, like I was saying, in 2019, I made 365 videos in 365 days, right? The first half of the year, I made 1 video a day. And for me, it was an absolute nightmare, just having that discipline to record that video every single day. But the second half, what I did was I recorded the other, I think it was 183 or something videos in 6 days or something, or 10 days, something like that. Very, very short. So it's like batch processing versus you're doing a little bit every day. You do you figure out what works for you. Just realize a couple of things, right? One, you don't have to create each lesson in order, right? If you're going to be referencing back to it, or if you're going to be creating like we described in like lesson 2, lesson 3, then it might be a problem. But if you are sticking to this rule, right? 1 lesson, 1 result, if you're making it modular, you're keeping it short and sweet, then you could actually pull this off, right? That's number 1. You could, of course, if you've done the proper planning, you can say like we discussed in lesson 2, the concept of second law of thermodynamics. I don't know if somebody's making a course on that, but go ahead. Then you can say in like lesson 7, you can reference back to it in lesson number 2. We spoke about this and let's apply it here or something like that. Next up, this is another thing which keeps us spinning our wheels as creators. We're like, oh, you know what? I need the perfect light. Oh, I need the perfect mic, or I need the perfect software before we can go ahead and start. This phone is pretty much all you need to go ahead and start creating. I know this because it's a very, very logical sounding answer, right? And that is something that can definitely hold us back. But what I've discovered is having momentum really, really helps. So yes, you do need like some sort of baseline quality. Like if it sounds like you're recording in a very noisy railway station, that course is not going to be optimal for your students. But you don't need like a 30,000 rupee mic and a 20,000 rupee light to go ahead and make your course. Go ahead, check out the GCC video about how to record awesome video at home, and you'll have everything that you need, right? So that's the thing. And in each video, right, what I would recommend is to see other ways. Think about how can you add more value, right? What I mean by that is, can you give case studies? Can you do an interview? Can you refer to a book? Can you share your own story? Can you share somebody else's story? Can you actually demo the entire process? Because every thing that you're doing, every course module does not have to be just you talking, right? It could be an exercise that they could do. It could be an interview you have with somebody else. It could be a TED talk that you can share, right? All of these things will add value, and it also adds a little bit of variety so people don't get bored with you. So that's again something that I've learned through a lot of trial and error. Also, switching up the formats also helps. If you are talking about, let's say, a video course on how to be assertive without coming across as rude, right? Let's say if you're building out a course on that, you could probably be having, let's say, 15 videos that are about 2 minutes long a piece, right? But What if you suddenly threw in a worksheet over there? What if there was a PDF that people could go ahead and answer? Or there was a Google form that they had to fill out? Or maybe there was a game that they had to play? All of these things, right, can definitely go ahead and shake things up and keep people more and more interested. With that, we are reaching the last two steps.
One point to add, in terms of
Absolutely.
adding value,
Mhm.
I found maybe parallelly having a Telegram channel or something like that will help, because one, you're building your audience and you will have all of them onto one channel,
Mhm.
and you can give them small value adds through that on a regular basis.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
So all your buyers, customers of different courses,
Mhm.
can everyone get onto a single platform, and then you keep giving value, and that will actually trigger them to buy your other products as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Telegram is a great channel to do this. You might be tempted to start with WhatsApp. I highly recommend that you don't, because there's a limit, right? 256 people as of the date of this recording. Telegram's a great option. There's also this other option called Discord that you can do. You can add them onto your email list. That's an option. Even in Gigsy, we're still brainstorming. It's still in the works, so don't hold me accountable for it. A community-based feature where you can have your own community on Gigsy as well. We're still, experimenting with that and seeing what's happening. So a lot of these things are there, and like Mr. Rangas said, everything that you're doing, right? Everything when it comes to adding value can even be like this sort of bite-sized things that you can keep on adding. Every little bit counts. So every little bit helps. So you should totally do that. Right, publishing your course. This is when stuff gets real. What you want to do: figure out a course name, set the price point, and publish it on Gigsy. Now, your course name, it should be memorable, it should be unique, and it should clearly communicate the value that you're going to be giving, right? A bad example of a course name is Arvind's Awesome Course. It does not communicate anything. But what if you had a course that said how to overcome FOMO, or how to overcome fear of missing out in 15 days? Now, I don't know, Sukun, if that is actually possible, but you see how specific results that you're showing. Is that actually possible? Overcoming FOMO in 15 days?
Work in progress. Work in
Fair enough.
progress. Yeah.
So therefore, I have put my ignorance out on display for everyone to judge. But that's okay. But you guys get the point I'm trying to say, right? You want to be very, very specific about the outcome that can come in, right? Unless you have a very powerful, strong, established brand, you definitely want to talk about that outcome. Those quick wins that we spoke about, that definitely has to be there. Next up, price point. There's a lot of theory on this, but you should be able to find out what is the market operating in when you're doing your research. Again, this is a part of the Passion to Profit Bootcamp, GCC number 8. You should have gotten this as a part of your emails as well. When you do this research, you'll be able to figure out that, hey, this is the kind of pricing, this is what everybody's doing in the market. That being said, don't forget what Mr. Ranga said in this session as well, right? You have to price yourself based on the value that you are providing. Again, your situation could be different. Maybe you're just trying to break into the game. Maybe it's your first course, whatever it is. You'll have to figure out what is the price point that can work for you. Vikram, could you share your thoughts on this? Because I must confess, I don't know much about pricing in this aspect. Why don't you talk a little bit about this?
It completely depends on the kind of value that you're bringing. So, given how I run courses typically for either life coaching or even for specific competency-based consultancy, when I do that, I look at what other people are doing, and I set a bit of a value with respect to what I bring to the table versus anybody else. And then I charge like a typical 10% premium, right?
Okay.
That also comes out with the kind of content that I'm putting out, the kind of engagement that I'm putting out. If it means that the course entails both online and offline interactions and engagement, then the premiumness goes a little higher.
Okay.
But if it is only online content, it sort of becomes a little more cheaper for people to access. So it's all about giving people that access to you and that level of content and engagement. Right?
Fair enough. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Ranga, you are an established creator on Gigsy and even beyond. You've been doing a ton of coaching and training. What is your perspective on pricing? How do you approach this?
As I said, I possibly know only one way to look at it. Frankly, I have operated for several years without even knowing what the market is charging.
Okay.
because I define the value for my time. I define the value for what I bring to the table, and I normally don't negotiate. And in fact, I have very carefully and deliberately conveyed this message to the industry that Ranga does not negotiate.
Okay.
So to me, it has helped because I've never used branding or advertising or any such sales promotions or whatever. I've waited. It's all word of mouth kind of spreading for me. So it worked for me. Need not work for others. Yeah. So, but only thing that I wanted to share here is, please don't dilute your value. And I will keep saying this a million times to people. Many of us don't know our own value actually. Right, and let us not allow someone else to define our value. It's not fair to us. Right. So if you think your course is really going to add some value, position it, go for it, but give more than that. That's what I would say.
Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you must always deliver more than that, and I think it works that way. Right? There is no standard guideline that you can adopt for what charge you can make this.
Okay. And for others who are just starting out with their online courses, well, if you want a rule of thumb, right, you can definitely look at the research that you do discover, all the stuff that just pop up when it comes to your research. What I do want to add is that, building on what Mr. Ranga is saying, there is always somebody who will buy at a price point, right? And what you want to do is you have to make that call. Do you want to sell one course for, let's say $40,000, right? And be happy with that? Or do you want to sell 10 units of that course for $4,000? Either way, you still make 40 grand. What is the approach that you wish to take? All right. With that, we move on to the publishing bit, which is quite simple and straightforward. There's an entire video on how to build and launch your video course on Gigsy. So it's there as a part of the help section. So please do check into that. I'm not going to go over that right now. And finally, I'm just going to talk a little bit about launch and marketing. You could say, you could prime your audience to say like, hey, this is going to be coming out on 15th of October, let's say, right? So then you start building up.
My last value add before I leave.
Yes.
One thing I can definitely say, even if there is just one person on this call or 10 people on this call, launching a course on Gigsy is damn simple.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I have done that and I was shocked. Frankly, I was shocked and I have given this feedback to Vikram. I had all the content in place. I had the videos, the podcasts and all that. And I just wanted to attempt creating a course. And I was shocked that I could actually put the entire course and publish it in less than 2 hours. I'm serious.
Thank you, Ranga. We've spoken about this before also, but thank you so much for bringing it up.
I mean, it's amazing because I just put through all this content and I just moved it up and down. I just renamed the files and that's it, gone. And at the end of the third day, I think if I'm not mistaken, there are about 25 guys who already bought it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Awesome.
So I think it's damn simple and Gigsy. I'm very proud to be part of this team.
Super. Thank you.
And on that note, I would quickly like to wedge in a nice little feature that we've come with. And this debuted just a couple of days back. So you can actually use Gigsy's tech infrastructure and roll out your own branded app, which basically leverages all of Gigsy's features. And for instance, if Arvind wants to roll out his own brand of Epic Career Labs, he could have an Epic Career Labs app out on the Android Play Store in a day. And he could leverage everything that Gigsy has in terms of features, could be subscriptions, could be selling digital content through courses or whatnot. And within a day, he's able to just get everything out. And it's just an annual subscription charge that you pay the platform for it.
Awesome. You know what? Maybe we should do like an entire session just talking about that. But
we should. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ranga, for sharing that. That was unexpected and heartwarming. I'm really happy to say that we did not have to. How do I say this? It seems like it just came off really easy, but obviously you can see that there's obviously a lot of how do I say this? Skill, talent, effort, and investment that Mr. Ranga has done in terms of his emotion, his skill, his time to actually create the stuff that's actually getting him the success. And I believe that each and every one of us have it within us to actually create content that can, create online courses that we can make money from. trust me, like if a dum-dum like me can actually go ahead and make this and actually make money, like there's like so many people who are smarter than I am, right? And it's going to be like super easy.
Oh my God.
Moving on. Timed launch. You set a date in the future, you drum up anticipation, and then you launch it, right? Another one, evergreen content. You just launch it, and then you can make sure that this is something you can sell again and again and again and again. Usually, soft skills are some things that could work in this side. Maybe playing guitar chords could be something. Again, I don't know much about music, but that's another thing. Definitely living authentically is something that can work. Once you do get your course up and running, once you publish it on Gigsy, you'll get a unique URL for that particular course. That's the stuff that you want to use in your social media marketing, your ads and stuff like that. Finally, I put together a couple of ideas, that you could use to promote your own course. It's going to be there as a part of the email and the recording that we're going to be sending out, but sharing that link really helps. Getting testimonials really helps. Maybe you could just take one of your lessons and turn it into a lead magnet, right? What that means is you say, hey, you know what? You like this? Here's a free teaser. If you like this, go ahead and buy the whole course, right? That's another thing that you can do. You could change the format the content is in. If you made videos, if you translate that, you just like type out what you're saying, you have like a great article that you can go ahead and start promoting. Beyond that, you can also look at selling or talking about your course. Like the way Vikram just spoke about App Maker, you could do the same thing on somebody else's podcast where you're talking about your own courses. We call this partnership marketing. Apart from that, contests and giving away copies and, essentially getting everybody to, know about your course and go ahead and buy it. Well, this is a pretty simple overview of the process it actually takes to build and launch your course. A step-by-step thing that you can totally do. But remember, before you do this, each step of the thing, right, it's there for a reason, right? You want to understand that this is what you're going to be doing. It's how you do it. And make sure that your motivations to build a course are also right? Again, I use it for marketing purposes. I use it for networking purposes. You would have your own rule. Remember, anything that can be learned can be taught. And with that, I'm going to stop the sharing and open up the floor for questions. Yes.
One small suggestion to Gigsy.
Yes, sir.
See, that unique URL that you're giving is like any other URL, which is pretty vague. I'm just wondering, I don't know whether it's technically feasible. For example, I have put up a course called, say, Vedanta Satsang. Can the URL be simply, Gigsy/Rangas/Vedanta Satsang, and internally you convert it to whatever?
Yeah, it could end up being that, yeah.
Because that makes a lot of sense when I give that URL to people, and it's very easy for me, and it gives me a sense of ownership to that course, and it gives them also a sense of easy identification of what that URL is about.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Before we proceed further, I'm just going to end the recording. Thank you for watching.